Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I used Zig Markers to create these colorful plumerias from the Bold Background Plumeria. So I am going to die cut all of these from watercolor cardstock because I'm going to use some Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, and I just thought it would be fun to make each flower super colorful. So that's my goal. This is a super easy card to put together. It does take just a little bit of time because of the coloring, but it's so easy and it turned out super, super pretty. So I'm going to start with this. This is your whole background piece, and I'm just coloring the stems. I'm adding a tiny bit of color of this mid brown color, and then I have a little bowl of water, my watercolor brush, and a paper towel. I'm going to dip my brush, tap some of the excess water off onto my paper towel, and then I'm just going to quickly blend. This coloring is so easy. I'm using fun different colors. I'm using pink, Persian blue, turquoise green, emerald green, orange, violet, and then of course that mid brown. I am using the emerald green for the leaves here, and I do end up having to die cut a few more things because I definitely needed some more leaves, and I'm going to show you just kind of slowly and then I'll speed up for the quicker stuff. But I added some of the color, and I am just doing a quick wash over these with my watercolor brush that has been dipped into some water. I don't want it to be perfect. I like that it just has some of these darker and lighter areas, and so that was super easy. Now for the flowers, I'm going to come in with those other colors that I told you, and I'm just adding little bits of color on the edges of the flower petals. And then I'm going to just start blending them. Now I do have an orange, and the orange is really fun, but you need to be careful when you're crossing like the orange and blues together because you don't want it to be brown. So that was the only thing I needed to kind of be careful and think of when I was blending, but it was not a big deal at all. So you can see that I just started to, I dip my brush in the water, take my brush to the color, and then blend out from there just a little bit. And I don't have a ton of water on my brush. I think otherwise it would just overtake everything. So I blended the orange there, and I'm cleaning my brush off in between, especially the colors that can get muddy. I definitely wipe it off on my paper towel in between. And then I just bring over the other color, like the blue, just to barely touch the orange. But I can mix the blue and pink, or the purple and blue, or the purple and pink. That's fine. So I don't mind a little bit of mixing, but I sped this up again quicker because it's really all the same technique. But I did want to show more than one flower petal, just how easy this is and how cute it turns out. And it's so much fun. Now the way I did it, you do lose some of the detail of the embossed images on the flowers. But I did come back in with a white gel pen and add some detail, so that kind of helped. But that is about the only thing that was a little bit of a bummer with this coloring, but I still think it turned out a lot of fun, like just so much, it turned out so cute. And it was a lot of fun to create because there's really no right or wrong reason to do it. And then each flower is completely different. I wasn't trying to do all the flowers the same. I just wanted to get some of the color on there and then blend that in. So you have some of these big flowers, you have little buds, you have what I'm going to call like the half flowers. They're not fully open and bloom. You're kind of looking at them from the side. So there's multiples of those that you needed to die cut for this background. So here are those little half flowers, and they're two pieces that put together, and then these are going to be layered on the background. But there's also another little piece. If you can kind of look up, you can kind of see a matching piece. I just painted the stem that same emerald green, but this has nice layers to it to create this bold background. But look at how pretty these are turning out. So obviously you could pick any colors that you wanted. I just love all these fun bright colors. I wanted it to feel very summery with summery colors. I do realize now I should have gone with a darker green for the leaves, and that because those leaves feel a little springy. So I should have done a deeper green so it would feel a little more summery. So here are these little pieces here. I did have to die cut some of those smaller pieces because I only had 2. But again, just laying down the color and blending it out, keeping it super, super easy. Let's adhere. Let's start getting some of these adhered. So we have this little flower here, and this has, you're layering it against that solid piece in the back where I just added the green to the stems. And then you have this next little layering piece that goes here. And then you have a really tiny little piece that also adds, or that you add to the bottom part of this flower. So there's 2 of these flowers. Isn't that cute? Then we have 3 of these guys here. I didn't realize I needed 3, so I had to die cut and color another one off camera. So let's glue this one. But there's 3 of these. And then you have 4 of these little buds here, and they just have 2 little pieces that adhere together, and then they adhere to kind of a background piece. Then that adheres to the actual whole background, which I will show here in just a little bit, but I wanted to show how these go together. So let's glue these guys. And I'm trying to get different colors of the 2 little, like the layering pieces. I want them to look different. So here are those flowers against that that solid background piece, and these little guys against that solid background piece. And again, you can see the stems are painted green, but I felt like these needed to have a little more green because when you adhere the other pieces on top, you could see some white, and so that wasn't good. Let's start getting this adhered to the actual background piece itself. I am going to start with all of the leaves, and this is where I realized, oh no, I need to have more leaves. So I did do that off camera once I got these first few. So you need to die cut the leaves twice because I think there is 9 or 12 leaves or something like that. There's a good amount of leaves. So I'm just finding which ones lay where and getting those in place. So here's the second batch that I die cut and colored, but thankfully the coloring was so easy that it went so super quick. So the reverse tweezers are super, super helpful to get these in place. I think there was 2 leaves left over that we just didn't need to use. Let's start getting these little buds laid down. And again, this is so quick and easy, you guys. This card is so much fun to make, and I just love how colorful it is. Then we have our little half flowers here. This is where I realized, oh my gosh, I need a 3rd one. Apparently I was not paying attention today to the counting of how many of what I need. So this flower should have been tucked under that leaf there. I'm just going to trim the overhang of the stem there because the leaf was already glued down and I didn't want to risk ripping it, so I just trimmed it and it looks just fine. One more little flower, and then we can add that final last flower. I wanted another background behind this, so I am going to be using the Quatrefoil A2 cover plates, both the base, which is this one, and then the top, which is the next one. And I am just die cutting it from white cardstock, keeping it super simple. I'm going to glue these 2 together, and this is going to be our backdrop for these flowers. I wanted white, but I wanted some detail, and I love this die. This is an oldie but a goodie, and I love these together. I just think it's so pretty. I added a bunch of foam adhesive behind all of my flowers and leaves because I do want this to have some dimension. I want it to be separate from the background. And I'm just going to lay that down, line it up, and look at how pretty that is. For the sentiment, I am using Be the Light stamp and coordinating die, and I chose the sentiment that says, God is our refuge and strength. And I'm going to use the coordinating die, sorry about my head, you guys, tape that in place and run that through my die cut machine. Now, I talked about adding some white gel pen. I'm just adding some lines to the flower petals to give it a little bit of detail because of all the colors. You kind of lose some of that detail on here, but I think it turned out nice, so I am really happy with how this looks. I'm going to do this first, and then of course I want to do some shiny splatter, so I'm going to use the Be Shimmery watercolor from Honeybee Stamps. This is some of my favorite stuff ever. And I'm going to be pretty heavy with the splattering. I don't care that it gets on the background. I want it everywhere. And in the light, you just see it and it is stunning. It just adds a little something extra, especially against all of those beautiful colors. Then some foam adhesive behind the center, the sentiment. I'm going to place that right in the center. And then I'm going to use the white pops of color for the center of the big flowers and the little flowers. And then we can take a look at this up close. But look at how colorful. And then you can see the white gel pen in there and all of that shimmer and shine. I love how this turned out. It's so, so pretty. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope that you guys feel inspired.